All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of great millstone. Peace and salutation to the Akim and to the elect that are scattered throughout the four corners of this earth, pushing this truth and faith and its sincerity. I'm the brother Shema Allah from the GMS Houston camp, and this is going to be another Stoic lesson. Going into these, Stoic quotes, something that I like doing, and getting scriptures, basically to add right onto, that message. Okay. And Stoicism, like I always say, it's just a mindset, and a way of life and how you view things, how you view problems and tribulation, and it's about, discipline, self-control, mastery of yourself, basically. Okay. And, that's why, I never get tired of going through these quotes. And, because, they show you a different perspective on things and, help build your mindset, and, everything comes from the scriptures. That's the ultimate, book, right, that we need. All right. We really don't, need anything else. All right. But, things like this, like I said, puts things in a different perspective. And we'll use, a lot of, worldly examples, to try to, teach you and to help you understand. And I think I even mentioned this book before. It's a daily Stoic book, and it basically gives you a Stoic quote, for each day, of the year, And I just, like I said, I just kind of always go through them and just see, which one, just sparks me to do a lesson. I don't necessarily do them in order. All right. Like what today is, I think today is the 14th, maybe. Hey, I ain't finna just go to October 14th, just to see. No, I don't. It just, whatever I'm feeling, in that moment, But yeah. I'm just going to read this quote real quick. A lot of them kind of be saying the same thing, but, in a different way. So, things, if you listen to other lessons that I've done, like this, some things might sound a little, repetitive, But, hey, that's cool. What it says that repetition is the father of skill. And also, repetition is how you basically, hardwire your brain to remember something. Just like with the laws, the Most High, right? He will say something, one time, and he'll say it again in the next chapter. In the next book, he'll mention it again, and that's how you drill something into your mind. All right, but the title of it says, Seeing Our Addictions. It says, we must give up many things to which we are addicted, considering them to be good. Otherwise, courage will vanish, which will continually test itself. Greatness of soul will be lost, which can't stand out, unless it disdains as pity what the mob regards as most desirable. All right? And a lot of these quotes, all right, you might be like, man, what the hell is it? What is this guy talking about? All right? Because a lot of these things it's kind of hard to understand. But, this book, kind of like try to simplify it for you. All right, but, also you can also use this. Just go to ChatGPT. You can post a quote in there, and then it'll break things down for you, and expound on certain things. Because without it, it'd be like, damn, bro, this is a dark saying. All right, but it says, underneath the quote, right, it says, what we consider to be harmless indulgences can easily become full-blown addictions. We start with coffee in the morning, and soon enough we can't start the day without it. We check our email because it's part of our job, and soon enough we feel the phantom buzz of the phone in our pocket every few seconds. Soon enough, these harmless habits are running our lives. The little compulsions and drives we have not only chip away at our freedom and sovereignty, they cloud our clarity. We think we're in control, but are we really? As one addict put it, addiction is when we lost the freedom to abstain. Let us reclaim that freedom. It says, what that addiction is for you can vary. Soda, drugs, complaining, gossip, the internet, biting your nails. You must reclaim the ability to abstain, because within it is your clarity, and self-control. All right. So like it says, like, you can be, you could have certain things, all right, that you are doing in your life, right? And it can be harmless. It can be something, that's, not necessarily, affecting you at that moment, right? But long term, it could possibly, alter your life, right, in a serious way, and negatively, all right? And that's why the scripture always say, examine yourself, all right? But like I said, it can be something harmless, whatever. But when you do something all the time, right, and it will become a habit, and habits are hard to break. Okay, it's hard to break a habit, all right, because because once it's set, it's kind of like a routine thing for you, all right. It's hard to make a habit, right? Because to make a habit, what you do, you're doing it over and over and over again, and once it's set in stone, it's like, damn, it's kind of hard to shake it, right? But you can just see whatever you're doing in your life, whether it's drinking, whether it's sex, all right. Maybe you're indulging too much into pleasures, and whatever that pleasure may be for you, right? It can be a particular TV show, it could be a video game, it could be, like I said, sex, drinking, right? Or going out, watching, particular certain type of videos on YouTube for whatever topic you may be interested in, all right? But it could be anything, something that, you're constantly doing. And to realize and to know that if it's it's a problem or not, try to abstain from it, right? And see how it affects you, and it will be harder than what you think it is, and then that will show you that, hey, this is a problem. If you can't stop it, you can't stop from doing it, right? Like a day or two like that, it's a problem. It means you've been kind of you've been overdoing it, okay? But like the last part of this quote, where it says, greatness of soul will be lost, which can't stand out unless it disdains as pity what the mob regards as most desirable. All right, so this is what the world, right, or the majority, they love these things. They not thinking that, man, I need to stop doing this, all right, or this is taking over my life. No, this feels good. So why would I stop doing what feels good unto me? And that's what this world promotes, right? You got to do what feels good unto you, and don't worry about what nobody else say. All right, whatever feels good, right? So this world doesn't preach or teach discipline or self-control. There's no self-control being taught. All right, a lot of folks, a lot of people don't have any self-control or any discipline. All right, but we coming into this truth, we got to master that. We got to have that self-control, and we got to separate ourselves from the masses, on what they think is cool. All right. But let's see. All right, this is Romans 12 and 2. It says, and be not conformed to this world, right? So be not conformed mean, don't be, with the shape, right? Conform means with shape. So don't be with the way society is set up, with the way this world is set up. All right, because this world is grooming people, to be a particular way and to be, contrary to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai ultimately, or for the mostly, for the Israelites, right? But, Babylon the Great, right, which Babylon means confusion, right, is grooming people in wicked ways, right, in abominable ways, right, in a destructive lifestyle, all right, by way of the media, right? Social media, by way of music, right? Movies, so on and so on, right? Esau is grooming you, right? And that's witchcraft, okay? Teaching you that it's okay to indulge in your pleasures, right? And to let loose and to be like that all the time, right? And that's destructive. No one should be like that all the time, right? It's okay to enjoy things, all right? But the key thing is moderation and not to overdo it, okay? Because anything that's abused will become a problem. All right, so it says, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So our minds, have to be, renewed. Okay? And through this truth is how it's renewed. Right? This is how we are born again. Right? By the washing of the word. All right? We have to renew our minds from, chasing what the majority, goes after. Right? Or what they deem as being valuable. All right? Or what they deem as being cool. The trends, and whatnot. Right? You got to have the mind and the discipline to say no to these things. Because we in this world, and we, are the minority, all right, amongst, we're the minority of individuals, that are, walking and striving, to please Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? And the majority of people ain't doing that. And this is what we are surrounded by them. And we go to work, right? We cool with these people at the job, because, we work with them, all right? We have family members that we know, and, so, we are basically crowded, about wickedness, all right? But we got to have the discipline, to reject, the things that they want to do, and the thing that they talking about, and the thing that they want to get in, their lifestyle, right? You gotta be able to say no. All right. But it says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove, what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. All right. So you want to be acceptable unto the Most High. All right, and this world is an enemy unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, right? That's why it says there are many antichrists or many anti-messiahs, right? This world is against Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, okay? So you can't be a friend of this world, right, and be a servant of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. It doesn't work that way, right? Because the Most High hates this place, and He's going to judge it, all right? So you want to be in the mindset, of or the spirit, all right, of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Okay, which is not the spirit of this world. But it says 1 John 2:15 says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. All right, so if you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you. Because why? This world, is an extremely wicked place. All right, out of order. And don't care about, the Most High, right? Doesn't care about Yahweh Shai. Doesn't care about the scriptures, right? Truly. Okay, they don't care about following this and being disciplined, walking after, a particular standard or having morals. All right. This is not a place of righteousness. So what is there to love? All right? There is nothing to love. Everything is operated and ran in wickedness. All right? You can't fully enjoy life. You can't fully, be at peace. All right? You can't fully enjoy your family or your kids, right? It's a constant state of misery, right? Once you come to this truth, then you really, realize, what's going on, right? That's why it says oppression maketh a wise man mad. And that when you increase in knowledge, you're increasing sorrow. Because we know how things are supposed to be. All right? And we know that the Lord's going to destroy this place. So, why be in love with this place? There's nothing to love. Like I said, that this place is an enemy, until Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. All right. He said, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, not of the Father, but of the world. Right? The lust of the flesh, indulging into, what the flesh wants. All right. Like I said, a big thing is, sex. Right? And, the Lord, who created that. He created, sex, and, he wanted, men and women to operate in that. Right? But not to abuse it. Not the way that, it's promoted today. Like, today it's promoted as something just fun. You can just go out, and it's just fun. All right? Because it's really meant for, procreation. All right? But people just, abuse it. Right? And it's meaningless. All right? And, it's just, men, just throwing their seed around, just women, just open their legs to anybody, because he cute, he smell good, right? He got on that 1 million cologne, all right? It's just little dumb things like that, and it wasn't like that in the ancient times, all right? You wouldn't just finna just go jump into something, jump into a woman, and, unless she was a prostitute. All right. But yeah, things had more meaning back then, and it's meaningless in these times. But it says, in the lust of the eyes. All right. Lusting after material things, and being, obsessed with these things. And, just being able to see and, basically not being content, and you just want whatever you laying your eyes on. All right. Things look good. Like I said, whether it's women, whether it's cars, clothes, right? Because I believe that it's somewhere in Proverbs, to where Solomon said basically the eye is never satisfied with seeing. Okay. It's always going to be something that looks good. It's always going to be something, that you're going to look at like, damn. All right, but you got to have that discipline, to not react off of that. All right? Because that's the energy that these people are in. They can never have enough. That's that spirit of Esau. What it says, they say that in the book of Habakkuk. All right, this man can never have enough. Okay? But it says, in the pride of life, and it's a lot of pride in this place. All right, because people, they make a lot of money, or they have these different positions, or, whatever the profession may be, they have a lot of pride, right? Think of a guy like, Floyd Mayweather. All right, with the things that he's accomplished, the belts, right, and the money, right? He walks and behaves in a particular way, right, in an arrogant manner. And that's a lot of these people, right? Jake get a little money, they look down on the other Jake that ain't got that. That ain't able to wear the clothes that they wear or the shoes that they wear. And this becomes their life, and they become consumed with this. And this is why they are so attached to this place, right? It's a destructive lifestyle. When you mix all that together, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, like, bro, you are doomed, right? If you don't change your ways, right? We say it's not of the Father, it's of the world, because the scriptures don't teach that. All right, the scriptures teach, self-control, right? The scriptures speak about, stumble not at a woman for her beauty, all right? And because you got this lust, and hey, and this woman may look good, but hey, she can be a witch. All right, you don't know what she's into. You don't know what she's about. You don't even know if she's even valuable. Or like if you add her to your life, like if she's gonna be valuable, or she's gonna bring you more hell. All right, it's much deeper than looks. Okay, scriptures speak against adultery, and all of these things, right? And this is what the world engages in. This is what the world loves, right? But it says, in the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever. So this world, man, is going to pass away, right? This place is going to be destroyed, and none of this is going to last, because righteousness is coming, to the planet Earth, right? And it's going to be here forever, all right? This wickedness is not going to last for an eternity. All this is going to be destroyed, right? Once the Lord, sent his son Yahushua, to bring that judgment and the nuclear missiles, right? All of this is going to be gone, right? But it says, but he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever. So those who trusted in the Most High, right, believed in his son, stuck to this word and that discipline, all right, rehearsed the righteous acts, which are the laws, statutes, commandments, kept the holy days to the best of their ability, kept doing all these things in faith, you're going to translate to the next kingdom, which is going to be the kingdom of heaven, where the Israelites are going to rule, all right, forever in righteousness, and have, we're going to have our enemies in subjection under us. All right. But yeah, let's go here. Proverbs 23:4. Labor not to be rich. Cease from thine own wisdom. All right, so labor not to be rich, because this is the main, goal here. That's on everybody's minds, right? Hey, I'm trying to make me some money. I'm trying to, be a millionaire and have the millions, right? Which is nothing wrong with making money. It's your mindset towards it, right? And the Most High is not on these people's minds. This is the primary goal. All right, this is the main focus, and this is their treasure. All right, and once you have that particular mindset, right? It's a way that you move that comes with that. All right, and then, like I said, it becomes destructive because you're willing to do whatever it takes for it. All right, man, I gotta get the money. I gotta get this money, man. I gotta get this money. All right. He said, "Wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings; they fly away as an eagle toward heaven." All right, especially, in this day and age, to where you got inflation eating away at the money, or money just being printed, right? And the value of money is going down, each and every day. All right, and you can't trust in riches. You can't set your mind on these things, right? Because it's temporary right now. It's temporary. It's not even real money, right? But like I said, the value is constantly going away. All right, whatever you buy, after a particular time, the value of that goes down. You can get robbed. You can lose all of this, right? You can save $1,000 and you end up having the emergency. You got to spend that $1,000. You see, and somebody who's always attached to it, that will destroy them. They can't let it go. They need more and more and more. And it also makes them stingy as well. All right, because a lot of times people don't like giving back to others. That's in that mindset. All right, but when you in this truth, men that have money, right? More than others, they're charitable, and that's what the scriptures, promotes. All right, so the scriptures rewire you, bro, and make you think differently. And it's not about you. It's not about any one of us. All right? All right, but this is, the mind state that we got to separate from. All right? And you could be in that and not realizing what you're doing. And like I said, it's okay to have money. All right? It just can't be, you just don't love it. Like it says that the love of money is the root of all evil. Like how these people be, no, we can't be like that. All right, but it's okay to have money. It's okay to have more than enough too. All right, and ain't saying you're gonna be no millionaire or nothing like that. It's not wicked, right? But it's what you're doing with it, right? That's all that matters, right? In your spirit, all right, with this money. All right, Matthew 6:19, it says, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust do corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal." So you don't want to be too wrapped up into this place. All right, we gotta constantly like check ourselves to make sure that we ain't. All right, and get back in line and on the path that we're supposed to be in. Right, get back, to the mission. Because the pleasures of this life, could be slowly taking you off that path, right? And if you're not paying attention to it, you're gonna get in a position, to where the situation is gonna be much worse, right? And when you could have stopped it right in the beginning, when you were noticing, that you were doing something a little bit too much. All right, there's a lot of things to get into out here. All right, but we gotta know that this truth comes first, right? And anything that hinders us has to stop. You can't keep it under control. If it's destructive unto you, it just gotta go. All right. That's why I said, "My son, prove what is evil unto thy life." All right, and basically, stay away from it. All right, but it says, "Where moth and rust do corrupt, and what thieves break through and steal." Right, things get old, things break down here, things, get rusty. Right, that's why you gotta constantly upgrade. You gotta constantly buy the new this. You gotta constantly buy the new that each year. Right, the new shoes that came out, the new clothes, and all that, right? But this is why you have thieves, because thieves really value this, and they steal it, right? They take it, right? Because they can't have enough, right? Either they take it and keep it to themselves, or they sell it for the money, right? But it's all for the love of these things, for the love of this life, for the love of the money. All right, but it says, "But lay up for yourself treasure in heaven, where moth or rust doeth, where neither moth nor rust do corrupt, and where thieves do not break through or steal." Right, so we laying out the spiritual riches. All right, and we have faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. All right, we get spiritual gifts. And this is something that nobody can take from us. Nobody can steal. Right, it doesn't rust. All right, and these are actually things that's going to get us salvation. So, instead of the pleasures, it is like, make sure you're feeding the spirit. You don't want to be feeding the flesh more than you feed the spirit, because it will show. All right, you can't be doing, fleshly things, and then your spirit is, is starving. All right. That's why, we got to constantly check and examine. All right, to make sure that, we moving right and walking right. So for your treasure is there where your heart be also. So that's going to be your focus. Whatever you value, right, that's going to be your focus. And this truth should be the most valuable thing unto us, right? This is the real treasure. This is the real riches. This is the real money, right? That we're going to be able to use in the times of trouble. All right, none of this other stuff matters. All the pleasure that we can get into, it's a relief. All right, when we were doing particular things, when we were catching hell, I might get a drink, right? But after that, the grind and the mission don't stop. The work don't stop. All right? Read 2 Ezra 14:14. "Let go from the immortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of man. Put off not a weak nature." All right? So we can't have that weak nature. We can't be like everybody else here in the society. All right? Doing and just careless. Right? You can't be careless. It's like I always quote, from the Godfather. Right? The Don Corleone, right, what he said, women can be careless. Women and children can be careless, but men can't be careless. All right, so we gotta stay focused. right? And we gotta have that, extreme discipline. You're not to the point to where you're killing yourself and you're doing a little bit too much, but we gotta take it there. As far as because Paul always quote about, man, these athletes, man. Why you think Floyd Mayweather proud as he is, bro? Because he put that work in and he can talk that. He got that confidence. All right, but once you look at his life and the things that he did, all right, you see that he actually put that work in. Man, he trained. He said boxing is his life. So this truth has to be our life. All right, it's got to be everything. We gotta eat. We gotta eat, sleep, breathe. This. All right, and I hope this lesson was edifying. Hey, with that, I'm gonna say shalom.